Welcome to the Mussar podcast for Parshas Vayeshev. Join us as we explore the weekly Parsha, uncovering valuable insights and striving to become the best versions of ourselves through Mussar teachings. As we approach the beautiful days of Chanukah, I want to share with you a profound connection between this week's Parsha and the upcoming Festival of Lights. This insight comes from Rabbi Yaakov Kier in his recently published sefer Mussar Moments, and it reveals something crucial about how we perceive reality and how easily we can be mistaken when we think everything is crystal clear. Let's begin with a fascinating halacha about the Chanukah menorah. The Gemara in Shabbos teaches us that we are not allowed to place a menorah higher than 20 amos, approximately 30 feet off of the ground. The reason? At that height, the flames are above the normal sight lines of a person. People wouldn't see them. Now here's where it gets interesting. The source for this law comes from an unlikely place, from one of our darkest moments that happens in this week's Parsha, when Yosef's brothers throw him into a pit. The Torah tells us in this week's Parsha, V'yikachuhu v'yishlachu oso habora v'habor reik ein bo mayim. And they took him and threw him into the pit, and the pit was empty, there was no water. Rashi, quoting the Gemara, Shabbos Daf Chaf Beis, which we mentioned, makes a chilling observation. There was no water in it, but there were snakes and scorpions in it. The Gemara in Shabbos uses this incident to teach us about the 20 amos sight limit. The reasoning goes like this. The Shvatim, Yosef's brothers, couldn't see the bottom of the pit because it was deeper than 20 amos. Since it was beyond their line of vision, they didn't know about the snakes and scorpions that lurked below. But wait a moment. Let's think about this carefully. Rabbi Kier asks a fundamental question that should trouble anyone reading this Gemara. Even if the Shvatim couldn't see the bottom of the pit because it exceeded their sight lines, how does this explain their actions? At the very least, shouldn't they have been afraid precisely because they couldn't see what was down there? Think about it. If you are standing at the edge of a deep pit and you literally cannot see the bottom, wouldn't that make you more cautious, not less? Wouldn't you assume there could be a danger lurking in the darkness below? Why weren't the Shvatim concerned about the very real possibility that there could be something dangerous in a pit so deep they couldn't even see its bottom? Rabbi Kier provides an answer that speaks to a fundamental human tendency, one that affects us all in countless situations throughout our lives. The Shvatim misjudged the entire situation. They thought they saw things clearly. They believed they had the complete picture, that everything was black and white, simple and straightforward. In reality, what they were looking at was outside their scope of vision entirely. They made their decision based on incomplete information, but they didn't realize the information was incomplete. They acted with confidence that comes from thinking you understand the full situation, when in fact they were literally and figuratively in the dark about what lay beneath the surface. How often do we fall into this same trap? We encounter a situation, maybe a conflict with a friend, a decision about our children's education, a judgment about someone's actions, and we think we see it clearly. We believe we have all the facts. Everything seems obvious, black and white, simple, cut and dried. In reality, there are depths we cannot see. There are factors operating beyond our 20 amos sight line. The world is made up of many hues and various shades of gray, not the simple clarity we imagine we are perceiving. This is particularly relevant when we are dealing with other people. We observe someone's behavior and think we understand their motivations. We see the surface, what they did or said, and we make judgments based on what we can see. What about what we can't see? What about the struggles, the pressures, the pain, the circumstances that exist in the depths beyond our vision? This brings us back to Chanukah and the menorah. The halacha is teaching us something profound. The light needs to be visible. It needs to be placed where people can actually see it, because if it's beyond our sight line, we are likely to act as if it doesn't exist at all, just like the Shvatim acted as if there was nothing dangerous in the pit simply because they couldn't see it. The lights of Chanukah remind us that we need to actively seek out and perceive the light, the truth, the nuance, the complexity in every situation. We can't make assumptions based on the limited view we have from our vantage point. On Chanukah, we are celebrating the miracle of the oil, the victory of the few over the many. Perhaps we are also celebrating the importance of bringing hidden light into view, of recognizing that there is always more to see than what is immediately visible. As we move throughout the week and prepare for Chanukah, we should all try to catch ourselves when we think we are seeing a situation with complete clarity. Let's ask ourselves, what might I be missing? What exists beyond my sightlines in this situation? Am I making assumptions based on incomplete information? Could there be snakes and scorpions, complications and difficulties that I am not seeing because I think the picture is simple? Practice intellectual and emotional humility. Remember that in most situations, we are working with partial information, seeing from a limited perspective, understanding only what's within our sightline. This doesn't mean we become paralyzed with uncertainty. Rather, it means we approach life, especially our judgments of others, with an appropriate caution and humility, knowing the complete picture is often hidden from view. The Shvatim were tzaddikim, leaders of the tribes of Israel. Yet even they fell into the trap of thinking they saw clearly when they were actually looking into darkness beyond their vision. If it could happen to them, it can certainly happen to us. As we light the Chanukah menorah in the following week, let those flames remind us. Keep the light within sight. Stay humble about what you think you know, and always remember that beyond what you can see, there may be depths and complexity you haven't even imagined. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Mussar podcast. Until next time, may we all merit to recognize the limits of our vision and approach life with the humility that comes from knowing there is always more than meets the eye. Have a good Shabbos and a wonderful Chanukah.